At the time of the American founding, Article 1, Section 8 says the Constitution gives Congress the power to make a uniform rule of naturalization. Now, what is that? What they did was they passed 3 laws during the, if you will, during the life of the Founding Fathers, 1790, 1795, 1798, and those 3 laws kind of laid out the rules of naturalization. I made a list of what they said was important in immigration. To come to America, the immigrant must have good moral character. So you had to have a moral background check. The immigrant must not only support the Constitution, our government, and laws, but they must renounce allegiance to any other nation. You had to believe in the equality of all Americans, everyone here. Therefore, you couldn't have a title of nobility, which the Constitution doesn't allow anyway, but you couldn't think of yourself as being a lord or noble or caste or classes. Couldn't do that. You had to have a residency requirement of 5 years, because if you came here from a different nation, you were thinking like that nation, not here. This is a different place. You got to be here at least 5 years to learn how we think.
Which, by the way, so if you're from a nation that embraces socialism, you're used to not having freedom. You're used to government control. So if you came here and instantly started voting, you would vote for what you've always known. We want bigger government. We want less freedom, more socialism. Well, that's not how America works. We love freedom. We enjoy the free market. We enjoy trade. There's some elements of America that if you're new here, you're not ready to understand how it works in America. So they said, we want to make sure you know how America works before you can vote. Another interesting idea.
And they said the children of naturalized citizens also become citizens at the same time. Citizenship goes from the parents to the children, not from the children to the parents, which we've sure gotten wrong in recent years. Says security risk can be deported. So not only did you have to have good moral character, you had to do a criminal background check before you came. And if you turned out to be a security risk, or they said if you became a dependent on the state, then you're deported.
So if you're here and you violated the law, or if you're here collecting welfare, well, then you're not really helping the nation. So they said, you don't need to be here, and they could deport you. That's interesting. I don't think it's what we do today, but that's interesting.
2 other things. The government was to protect the borders, but outside of the borders, states got a lot of control over immigration, which is not the way it is today.
But it makes sense, because if you're coming to the U.S., you don't come and just live in the United States. You would come and you live in Florida, you live in Kansas, you live in New York. You're living in a state. And so the federal government did allow states to have a say in what you had to do as a requirement to live in their state to be an immigrant of New York.
It's
or
interesting
Florida.
that in coming to the United States, you didn't come to federal immigration ports. We didn't have an Office of Federal Immigration until 1891.
So there was no Ellis Island under George Washington?
Ellis Island is the first time the feds got involved in immigration, except for uniform rules. Now, if you came in to live in a state, Florida, you had to meet this, and then Florida could say, in addition, we want you to do this, so whatever state had it. But as all things changed in America, unfortunately, it was a Supreme Court decision in 1875 and 1876 where the Supreme Court said, oh, we have a new epiphany. States don't get to be involved in immigration anymore. That's a Supreme Court decision, not a Founding Father, not a Constitution thing. But that's what we face with immigration
Which the federal
today.
government's done that a lot with states' issues. So where education used to be local, now there's a Department of Education. They've done this with a lot of things. But most people would be shocked to know they've done it with immigration. We would assume immigration's always been a federal issue, it's never been a state issue, and yet, historically, it shows that really until kind of the Ellis Island era, it was always a state really driven issue, more so than anything else.
And this is a book that came out at the end of World War I, at the beginning of World War II. It's a book written by a chief of naturalization telling immigrants what you need to know to come to the United States, and it probably sums up best what the Founding Fathers intended for our uniform immigration policy. And this is the way to look at DACA and chain migration and what we have with the lottery system. This should be the standard. So
the front of it says, what is an American? So if you're going to come to America, what does that mean? How can I be an American? Well, here's what they said you need to know. An American is a man who is greater in his soul than in his class, creed, political party, or the section in which he lives. To be an American, a man must have an American soul and believe in the spiritual realities upon which America rests and out of which America was born. America was created to unite mankind by those passions which lift and not by the passions which separate and debase. We came to America to get rid of the things that divide and make sure of the things that unite, which is interesting because An American then is really a spiritual reality.
It is.
It's not just a physical. So I couldn't maybe go to Germany and be a German if I immigrant. No, I would always be kind of an immigrant. Well, you can be from any nation and come and be an American because it's something on the inside more than the outside.
And you don't come to divide, you come to be part of what's here. You don't come to change what's here and we're going to have our own separate community over here and we'll have our own court system and laws. No, you come to be part of, and that's the basis of immigration from the time of the Founding Father. It should still be the basis today. That is the successful immigration plan.
So if you want to make America better, we want you to be in America. It was really simple according to the Founding Fathers. Oh, that it could be that simple again.